today it's time for Marie to stand up and speak. And so I am looking forward to hearing what Yahweh has shared with her. Are you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Come on, Marie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are y'all ready to read some scripture? Because I've got a lot of it
Yes, ma'am.
to share with you today. I hope this brings you encouragement, and I know it did me.
Amen.
Psalms 119, verse 97. Oh, how I love your law. It is my meditation all the day. You, through your commandments, has made me wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me. I have more understanding than all my teachers, for your testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the ancients, because I keep your precepts. I have refrained my feet from every evil way, that I might keep your word. I have not departed from your judgments. You have taught me. How sweet are your words unto my taste, yea, sweeter than honey to my mouth. Through your precepts I get understanding, therefore I hate every false way. Your word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. I have sworn, and I will perform it, that I will keep your righteous judgments. Verse 111, your testimonies I have taken as a heritage forever, for they are rejoicing of my heart. I have inclined my heart to perform your statutes always, even unto the end. I began asking Yahweh for his direction on what to speak on one evening, and right before bed I heard, polish the pearls and stack the stones. For the past few years we've been learning truths, the precious pearls in Yahweh's word. We are learning and seeking to understand his commandments and his statutes and his ordinances. They illuminate where we are to walk and how we are to walk in this earth. Without these pearls, we would have no guide to teach us about who he is, or how to know him, or how to approach him. These priceless pearls, priceless treasures, are to be examined and incorporated into our lives. They cost Yahweh his son's life to get them to us. They teach us of his immeasurable love for us as we run our race here in this life. We are to learn them, we are to keep them, we are to do them.
Yes, ma'am.
They are to be kept safe, and they are to be greatly valued. We're not to allow simulated or fake pearls to enter into the collection by harboring strange doctrines of men or demons that would contaminate our lives. We are not to take the pearls that he has given us and hide them away and forget them until we have another truth to add to the strand, and then put them away again. We are to remember them. We are to cherish them. We are to rehearse them. Joshua 1:8. This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then you shall make your way prosperous, and then you shall have good success. We are to think about his instruction day and night, so that we can observe to do everything that is written. When we meditate in them day and night, then we will do them. And when we do them, when we obey his instruction, when we allow his pearls of wisdom to alter how we live, then his word will cause us to be prosperous and to have good success. Deuteronomy 6, verse 1. Now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahweh your Elohim commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land whither you go to possess it, that you might fear Yahweh your Elohim, to keep his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, you and your son and your son's son, all the days of your life, that your days may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily as Yahweh Elohim of your fathers has promised thee, in the land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord, or Yahweh our Elohim, the only Elohim. And you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with all thy heart, and with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thy heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And you shall write them upon the post of your house and on your gates. And it shall be when Yahweh your Elohim shall have brought thee into the land which he sware unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give thee great and goodly cities which you build not, and houses full of good things which you did not fill, and wells digged which you did not dig, and vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant. When you shall have eaten and be full, then beware, lest you forget Yahweh, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall fear Yahweh your Elohim, and serve him, and swear by his name. You shall not go after other gods, of the people which are around about you. For Yahweh your Elohim is a jealous God among you, lest you anger Yahweh your Elohim, be kindled against thee, and destroy thee from off the face of the earth. You shall not tempt Yahweh your Elohim as you tempted him in Massah. You shall diligently keep the commandments of Yahweh your Elohim, and his testimonies and his statutes which he hath commanded thee. We're to teach them to our children and to our grandchildren, so that they will live long and increase mightily. We are to embrace them with all of our heart. We are to talk to our children diligently at home, on the road, and when we lie down, and when we get up. We are to keep them before our eyes constantly. If we're not diligent about his statutes and his commandments, then we can get into that place of plenty where all's going smooth. And because things are going smooth, we'll ease up a little bit.
Yes, ma'am.
And when we ease up, we forget where we came from and where he brought us from. And we forget who we belong to. And we forget what he expects of us to fulfill our part of the covenant with him. Our guard comes down, and we begin to let in strange practices. They creep back in, and he will not accept those.
Right.
These pearls that he has given us, his law, his statutes, his commands, they're to be as familiar and comfortable to us and to our children and our grandchildren as breathing is while we sleep. They are the roadmap and the key to this race that we are to run in this life. They are the only way to walk upright before him and to be pleasing to him. Cherishing his commands, statutes, and ordinances opens the windows of heaven so he can pour out more pearls on us.
Yes, ma'am.
Cherishing them makes room for him to operate in our lives and through our lives. Cherishing them is how we become intimate friends with him. Walking in his ways allows him to continue to unravel us from the world's way of thinking and doing things. Walking in his ways schools us in kingdom thinking. We learn the policies of the kingdom of heaven. We learn the procedures of the kingdom of heaven. When we accepted Yeshua as our Messiah, we were grafted into Yahweh's family. We became citizens of his kingdom. The kingdom of Yahweh is where our citizenship is. We need to know the laws of that kingdom. We need to know the policies and procedures of that kingdom.
Yes, ma'am.
We are now ambassadors of that kingdom. That means we're representatives of that kingdom in this world. Living in this world, we are not exempt from seeing natural disasters, calamities, and diseases that may abound here. But our citizenship is in the kingdom of heaven. In times of crisis, our help comes from the kingdom where our citizenship is.
Amen.
In times of crisis, our help comes from the kingdom of heaven. John 16:33 says, "These things I've spoken to you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." As we travel through our lives here, we will encounter many trials, many tribulations, many hardships, many pitfalls. These are all common to man. But we can be cheerful in knowing that we will overcome them just as Yeshua did. By what is written, that this is also how we will do it. We have to keep polishing those pearls. We have to know what is written. We have to meditate in it day and night that we might observe to do all that he commands us. It is in keeping his law that he is able by his Spirit to navigate us through the tribulations, trials, hardships, and pitfalls that we will encounter. By learning, keeping, and doing what is written, it opens our lives up to the intervention by the kingdom of Yahweh, instead of being without help in this world. Joshua 4, verse 1, "And it came to pass, when all the people were clean passed over Jordan, that Yahweh spake unto Joshua, saying, Take you 12 men out of the people, out of every tribe a man, and command ye them, saying, Take ye hence out of the midst of the Jordan, out of the place where the priest's feet stood firm, 12 stones, and ye carry them over with you, and leave them in the lodging place where ye shall lodge this night. Then Joshua called the 12 men whom he had prepared of the children of Israel, out of every tribe a man. And Joshua said unto them, Pass over before the ark of your God into the midst of Jordan, and take ye up every man of you a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Israel. That this may be a sign among you, that when your children ask their fathers in time to come, saying, What mean ye by these stones? Then ye shall answer them, that the waters of Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Yahweh, when it passed over Jordan. And the waters of Jordan were cut off, and these stones shall be for a memorial unto the children of Israel forever. In our lives, we have the opportunity to stack many stones. Many stones that will be a memorial to us and to our children, reminding us of the awesomeness and the greatness of our Father Yahweh and of his great delivering power. He's already parted many rivers and many seas in our lives, and we've passed safely over.
Yes, ma'am.
And we've stacked the stones. We've seen him do great and wonderful things. We've faced giants that have stood in our faces and taunted us and the Elohim that we serve. Through our relationship and our confidence in him, and because of his covenant with us, we have stood boldly in the face of our enemies, and we have seen Yahweh deliver them into our hands. We must not forget the victories he's given to us. We must not forget the rivers we've crossed. We must not forget the stones of memorial we've already stacked. We must not forget that what Yahweh has done for us. We must revisit these stones often to remind ourselves of every victory Yahweh's given us. We must cherish every pearl of understanding that he has given to us. When giants, tribulations, trials, obstacles knock on our door and fear and panic rushes in to taunt us, we must remember who we belong to. We must remember who we're in covenant with. We must remember who fights for us. We must remember who fights with us. We must remember the pearls he's given to us, And we must remember the stones that we have already stacked in our lives. We must remember that Yahweh has laid up good for us and not evil. We must remember that He's faithful. We must remember that we have our part of the covenant to uphold. We must remember that He gave us instruction and then told us to learn it, to keep it, and to do it. We must remember that we were sent here in this time and into this place. We're not here by accident. We must remember that we have a job to do that is beyond existing here and just marking time. We must remember that we have a job to do beyond just making a living, beyond just buying more stuff. We must remember that we are His ambassadors. We are His representatives of His kingdom. We must remember that we are to establish His kingdom everywhere we go. Leviticus 26, verse 1. And ye shall make no idols, no graven image, neither rear you up a standing image, neither shall ye set up any image of stone in your land, to bow down unto it. For I am Yahweh your Elohim. Ye shall keep my Sabbaths, and reverence my sanctuary. I am Yahweh. If you walk in my statutes and keep my commandments and do them, then will I give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit, and your threshing shall reach unto the vintage, and the vintage shall reach unto the sowing time. And ye shall eat your bread to the full, and dwell in your land safely. And I will give peace in the land, and ye shall lie down, and none shall make you afraid. And I will rid evil beasts out of the land, neither shall the sword go through your land. And ye shall chase your enemies, and they shall fall before you by the sword. And 5 of you shall chase 100, and 100 of you shall put 10,000 to flight. And your enemies shall fall before you by the sword. For I will have respect unto you, and make you fruitful, and multiply you, and establish my covenant with you. And ye shall eat old store, and bring forth old because of the new. And I will set my tabernacle among you, and my soul shall not abhor you. And I will walk among you, and I will be your Elohim, and ye shall be my people. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, that ye should not be their bondmen. And I have broken the bands of your yoke, and made you go upright. Yahweh's word is true, and He will do everything that He's promised if we walk in His statutes, if we keep His commandments. He's promised to give us rain in season and increase in fruit. He's promised to give us plenty. He's promised us shalom. He's promised us that we will not need to live in fear. He has promised us supernatural victories over enemies. He's promised to find delight in us and respect us. He has promised to walk among us and to pitch His tent with us. He's promised to be our Elohim. And He will do everything that He promised.
Amen.
He just requires that we listen to Him and obey Him.
Yes, ma'am.
1 John 5, verse 2. By this we know that we love the children of Yahweh, when we love Him and keep His commandments. For this is the love of Yahweh, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. He tells us to love, to learn, to keep, and to do His commandments. And men tell us that it's too hard to do, but that's not true. His commandments are not grievous. They're not hard. It's a matter of love. And if we love Him, we will keep His commandments. To not value His instruction is to not love Him. But when we value His instruction, when we see them as pearls of great price, when we set our hearts upon them with delight, then we will see Him do great and mighty things. and we will have many stones to stack as memorials of his great love for us as we walk this earth.
Amen.
Open back up to John 17. Thank you, Maria. That was awesome.
Sorry, John what? 17?
John 17. You there?
Yes, sir.
Look in verse 14. I have given them your word. False teachers and lying preachers would have you to believe that when the Messiah came, he came teaching some new doctrine.
They would.
That he took the disciples and taught them a new way. He says, I have given them your word. Now listen to this. And the world has hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. The thing that makes us different than the world is the word. And that's the message that we just heard.
Yes, ma'am.
The only thing that's going to make us different from the world is the word. We're either in the word or we're in the world.
Yes.
Right.
One of the two.
Amen.
Let us take heed to this exhortation from Yahweh, from the Ruach HaKodesh, that we need to spend time in the word, learning it, keeping it, doing it. Stand up. Thank you, Maria. Yeah. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. As his name is put upon you, so shall he bless you.
Yes, sir.